It's speech time, ladies and gentlemen, so if you can't hear us and you want to, do come forward. If you don't care, stay where you are. But to start off with the speeches, as is traditional, please welcome Father of the Bride, Mr. Dave Morgan.
Is that how close I hold it?
Perfect. Yeah, perfect.
Thank you everyone for coming here today to help celebrate a wedding between two special people. Special is how Lucy has described Toby many times since they first met. And on the day Lou was born, Chris and I knew we had somebody very special, although we had no idea what an impact she would have on her family and so many other people in the years to follow. Dancing has always been a large part of Lou's life. She was taken to her first ballet lesson not long after she learned how to walk. And several years later, she was dancing for her living. Now, a lot of girls can dance, unlike some of their dads. But to turn something from an enjoyable pastime into something much more takes determination, discipline, talent, qualities which Lou has in abundance. Last year she started her own dance school, and her business acumen is proven by the literally dozens of students that she now instructs. And Chris and I are extremely proud of what she has achieved. Oh, what a fun and spirited child Chris and I had the pleasure to raise. If there was a tree to climb, she was up it. If there was a wall to walk along the top of, she was on it. If there was a swimming pool flume to slide down, or a ledge to jump off into the sea from, Lucy was in the queue. If there was a go-kart to race around a track, boy did she give it some. And if we were at Alton Towers or Disney or Thorpe Park, there wasn't a scary ride that she didn't want to go on. If we were at a tube station or a London store where there was an uncrowded, descending escalator that Lou felt she could ascend, then ascend it she often did. And when she went off to the Far East to work, as if she didn't want to lose that spirit of adventure with her childhood, she bungee jumped off the Macau Tower, which is the highest bungee jump in the world. Lucy and Toby met one evening on a dance floor. She adored him from the start. Toby's kindness, his humour, his love for his family, and now his commitment to his wife make Lou very happy. Chris and I welcome Toby to our family. Toby's means of winning the affections of myself, as well as Lou's brothers, Dan and Nick, by letting us play with his drones, was clever. The level of charm he displayed while talking to his future mother-in-law was ample.
You look terrified.
We love him. Toby's parents, Pat and Di, are a delightful couple, and anybody who knows them would agree. And Chris and I look forward to many more dinner dates with them both. As for our beautiful daughter, to Lucy's students, she is inspirational. To her friends, she's a loyal confidant. To her brothers, she's a wise and very close mate. And to Chris and me, she is one great big smile, who is no less special today than she was on the day she was born. Dan, Nick, Chris and I simply love her to bits. And I know I speak on behalf of everyone here when I wish both Lucy and Toby good health and all the happiness possible.
Thank you.
With me in a toast to Lucy and Toby.
Cheers.
Well done, Dave. That was a lovely and touching tribute from the father of the bride. The man he was speaking about, the man who has married his daughter today, is our groom, Toby Pocock, and he is next to the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, Toby!
Thank you. So, I finally got married. I've had the pleasure to attend a good number of your weddings. There's also a good few people here whose weddings I was invited to who I didn't attend. So Chris, Frankie, I see a few more. I want to make this a good time to say sorry I couldn't be there. But everyone did say to me that this day and this moment would be special, and standing here in front of everyone, seeing so many friendly faces, looking back, you know, guys, you were right. It's a very special occasion. So, first of all, I'd like to thank you on behalf of myself and also my wife. I'd like to thank you all very much for being here. It means the world to us both today. My job really is not to be funny today. I have two, not one, but two very funny best men lined up for you. They've got an average combined height of 5'11". Sorry. So, I think first of all I'd like to thank the people who have travelled a long way to come, and I've made a note of them. Alex, Adele and Will have come from Spain. Bob, Master of Ceremonies, has flown back from Dubai.
Oh, tough old life.
Well done, Bob. Laura has come in from Macau. Guppy, Bean and Poppy have come from Singapore. Giles Lunt has made it from Bath. Well done, mate. That's a good effort. But the Air Miles trophy goes to Scott Coles from Sydney at the back. I'd also like to make just a mention of a few people who couldn't be here, who are abroad. Fez, who was going to be one of the ushers. I think he's on the run from the taxman in Thailand. I'm not joking. Ned, Guppy's wife, can't be here. Paul Kent, that is his name, I'm not being rude. He's in Australia. Andy Jewson in America, and Lenny also in New York. So guys, don't worry, I think we've got enough photographs and film for you to catch up on. Speaking of filming, I'd like to thank, first of all, Ben and Mike, the drone pilots. If any of you guys are interested in hiring a drone company, they are the second best company in the whole of England. If I'm busy, really, they're really very good. I think one very important thank you, and the biggest thing that anyone said to me today is how much they enjoyed the ceremony and how they thought that Stephen, the vicar, was fantastic. Lucy and I were a little bit hesitant about having a church wedding at first. We had met our local vicar, who was a little bit more...
Vicarish.
Thank you, Mike. A little bit more vicarish. And my dad said to me, "Oh, you should. What about Stephen Coulson?" And I don't know if this is a fair comment, but he said Stephen's more of a gangster than a vicar. So immediately I thought, I like the sound of him. So my dad said, "Why don't you come up with Lucy to the Oval to meet Stephen?" Which we did, and we got there a little bit before Stephen, and the committee room at the Oval is a very hospitable place, and we very quickly before Stephen got there, had quite a few pints of Pimm's. That wasn't the time you danced with Trevor McDonald, was it? I think it was a different time. So but basically, when Stephen turned up, we were both pretty plastered. And we were a little bit nervous as well about meeting potentially the vicar. So Stephen came up to us and was quite stern, actually, and he said, "I've got the thing." He said, "I just need to check a few things, 3 things. 1, you are not related. 2, you aren't married to anyone else. And 3, you are not of the same sex." And I'm not quite sure where it came from, but the first thing that came out of my mouth was, "Lucy has a penis." Stephen looked a little bit baffled, looked towards Lucy, who backed me up and said, "It's very small, and I will tuck it in at the wedding." Which he did. So Stephen took that joke very well. We knew that he was definitely the man to marry us. So Steve, we have a little something for you, in fact. So if you'd like to approach Lucy, she will give it to you. Oh, she's dropped it.
I got it.
Wait, there you go.
Would you mind coming to the
Thank you very much, Stephen. It was fantastic. Okay, moving on the thank yous. I'd like to thank Guppy and Bob. There's Bob, where's Guppy? There he is. Guppy and Bob have both been brilliant friends of mine, and I can't think of 2 people who I've laughed more with. Whenever I look at their faces or think of their faces, I think of laughter. So it was great to have those guys here today. Hi Bob, put your face in. Go on, show your face. I've been very lucky. I had probably 20 people here today who I could have easily asked to be ushers. I've got my... Yeah, I didn't, but I could have done. I've got my Reigate bunch of friends who I grew up with at school. Say hi. They're the naughty ones at the back. I've got my Reading uni mates. They're the naughty ones in the middle. And I've also got a few extra strays of sort of London and Spain and I don't know where else, but I'm very lucky to have a lot of good friends. And moving on to my best men. Tom, I've known for, I don't know how long, 20, 30, 20 years, 25 years?
Don't nick some of my
Oh, sorry. Tom and I met when our mums both... Is that the best one?
It was. I can't give them away, mate.
Well, yeah, Tom and I met when our mums both forgot to pick us up from games one night. Is that it? Sorry. Forget that, they didn't. Anyway, I won't say any more about Tom other than I'm delighted you've moved back to Reigate and hopefully we're going to hang out a bit more together. And moving on to Alex, or Big Al as I know him.
What are you laughing at?
Yeah, you tell him, Al. You tell him. 14 years ago, I was best man at Alex's wedding. He married Adele, who's somewhere at the back. Sorry, Alex didn't ask for the distance to be put between you, it's just the way it fell. So it was great to have Alex next to me today in the church and giving me the rings and the Vaseline for Lucy's slightly oversized knuckles. Alex and Adele are an inspirational couple. Anyone who knows Alex will also know what an inspirational bloke he is. We've shared quite a journey together over the past 38. Sorry, okay, into his speech. He's one of my best mates. I'll just leave it at that. Okay, who have we got next? Okay, I'd like to thank everyone who's contributed something to our honeymoon. We've had, this year's been very busy for Lucy and I. It seems busy since we met, but on Tuesday we're off to Barbados for 9 days? 10 days apparently. So we're really looking forward to that. When we get back, we move again. It's great that Lucy's dad runs a removal business. So we'd like to thank everyone who's made a contribution. We really appreciate it, and it really does help. Okay, moving on. I think most of all, Lucy and I would like to thank our families. First of all, to Dan and to Nick. I'm sure it's not easy seeing your little sister get married.
It's quite okay, you're welcome.
It must be exceptionally difficult when it's to an older, wiser man. But guys, I'm delighted and proud to call you brothers-in-law. Dan, you will now be Bill 1, and Nick, you're Bill 2. I'd also like to include Louise into that, as well as a sister-in-law. She's the pregnant one who did the reading. Sorry, Lou. So Lou, I include you in that lot as well. I'd also like to thank Grace, who did a fantastic job as a flower girl. Grace was the flower girl at Dan's wedding last year, so she really is a seasoned pro to it now. And moving on, over the last few months and I guess years or so, the Morgans and the Pococks, which Lucy has cleverly called the Moorcocks. I'm not quite sure if that's a Mickey take of us or of them, or whether I should be alarmed that my wife likes the name Moorcocks. But it's been fantastic bonding. We had a wonderful meal a couple of weeks ago, and I'm sure there'll be a lot more dinners and drink sessions between us. I'd also like to thank my lovely sister. Oh, I get emotional.
Go time. Come time.
About probably 4 or 5 years ago, I came back from Spain, a pretty much broke man, and Sam and Andy very kindly took me in, let me move into their house with their boys, Tom and Harry, put me up in a very nice room at the top of their house. So nice, actually, a year later, and Sam said, it's probably time you moved on. Which I did, actually. I think I moved back to Spain, and anyway. So, Sam and Andy, thank you very much for that. I'll always appreciate that. And I'd like to thank my new parents-in-laws, Chris and Dave.
Why?
Guys, you've not only helped us out financially today, you've been just the best parents to Lucy. She just loves you to pieces. And you are, anyhow, she's an absolute credit to you guys. Yeah, go on, have a clap, why not? You guys have been nothing but warm and welcoming to me, and I appreciate it. I'm not sure if Dave was always necessarily warm and appreciating towards me, but I think Lucy went home one night after meeting me and said, I've met someone I quite like. Dave said, how old is he? Lucy said 40. Dave went, it's not 30, is it?
He's sharp.
And then questioned Lucy about how many ex-wives and children I had. Probably a good chance to say, Dave, is actually 3 and 6. I appreciate how hard it must be for a dad to hand over his daughter at the altar, especially one of Lucy's calibre. So I'd like to publicly declare to you and the 2 other significant men, Morgan men, in Lucy's life, that I'll always love her, I'll respect her, and I'll always look after her. Lucy and I are very lucky. We've had fantastic role models for parents and for marriage. Chris and Dave have been married for 38 years, and my parents next year will be married for 50 years. Amazing. My dad was 17 when he met my mum. And probably more amazingly is the fact that she's put up with his stories and jokes and singing for 50 years. So, I'm very lucky. I have the best parents in the world. I've had quite a, I guess, a bit of a roller coaster life. And my parents have sat with me in that roller coaster the whole way, giving me love and support and encouragement. So I want to thank you very much. I know how delighted they are that I'm finally married and I've met someone. I'm not gay, Mum. Not that there's anything wrong with gays, They absolutely love Lucy, and why wouldn't they? So they are just, no doubt, that my dad will probably, he's singing later on, so maybe he might say a few words. But Mum, you were right, you said I'd meet someone when I least expected it. Which brings me on to Lucy. So, that's that one. You're probably wondering what it was that first attracted me to the 26-year-old leggy blonde dancer. And for anyone who knows her, will know the answer is her personality. She's also quite attractive as well. That's a small detail. A few people said to me at the beginning, Toby, do you think the age gap between you is a problem? And if I'm honest, I would have liked someone a bit younger. But you know, I'm getting on a bit, and I shouldn't be that fussy. So we met at the Cage in Reigate. Lucy was dancing. She got grabbed by some 55-year-old, not me, 55-year-old drunk guy who said dance with me, and in front of 200 people she danced with him. And I generally went up to her and said to her, I think you handled that really well. There was no sense of, I want to go up and try and chat to this girl. Just I said, you handled that really well. We got talking and laughing, and it didn't stop. We just hung out together. We had a date the next day. We had a date the day after that. We went camping the following weekend, and that's, I guess, why we're all here today. It was very natural indeed. After... Thank you, Vic. Growler. After 5 months of dating Lucy, I pretty much made my mind up that I'd like to marry her. We had a trip to Mauritius, which was already planned, and I assumed that she probably assumed that I was going to ask her, but actually it turned out she didn't. So it was New Year's Eve on the beach in Mauritius. Midnight was approaching. I had a ring in my pocket. I didn't really have any idea what I was going to say. I just thought, it will come to me, it will come to me. And midnight came, fireworks went off, the entire bay lit up. I reached into my pocket, got out the ring. Lucy turned round, and I just burst into tears. Which, you know, wasn't very macho, and I told her never to tell anyone. So I'm not quite sure why I'm telling you now. She said yes straight away, which was great. And then about 5 minutes later she said, what did my parents say? And I thought, oh, that's awkward. Slightly breaking with tradition, I hadn't actually asked Dave or Chris in advance if I could marry her. So, and I guess probably the reason, Dave, I didn't is because I thought there was probably a good chance you'd say no. And that would have been really awkward. Moving on.
Going well, Toad.
Thanks, mate, thanks. The thought of spending the rest of my life with Lucy is a weird combination of excitement and great peace. I feel very peaceful and excited to be spending the rest of my life with her. So I'm just delighted to be standing in front of you guys today with Lucy there as my wife. And I'm just delighted. God willing, one day we may become parents, and I know that Lucy will make a wonderful and inspirational mother. We've been slightly practicing being parents recently because we have a 1-year-old Cocker Spaniel called Alfie Keith. And I knew that Lucy would make a great mother when, back in January or February, Alfie got to the age where he was getting a little bit horny. So we'd get to the evening, Alfie would sit on the sofa and his tongue would come out and he'd pant very heavily. and he tried to mount Lucy's arm. He didn't try and mount my arm. He obviously has good taste. So Lucy said, I just don't know how to he's just so frustrated, what can we do? So I said, well, why don't you bend down on all fours on the lounge floor? She was fully clothed, I should say. So she was quite prepared to do this. I put Alfie's little paws on the back of her. Is this wrong for a wedding? So, this sounded so good when I wrote it last night. Anyway, you'll be pleased to know that Alfie didn't take the bait, and a week later we had his testicles chopped off. I'm sure if we do ever one day have a teenage son who's a bit horny, we will probably deal with it in a different way than we did with Alfie. Right, moving on. Lucy has been brilliant organising this wedding. She's been chilled out. I was a little bit worried at first because she did go on 12 separate shopping days to find her dress. And at that stage, I was thinking, oh, this is going to be a bit of a nightmare. But she was, after the dress, what she got, and she looks beautiful. She really enjoyed organising the wedding, and really all of the details, I'm sure you're not surprised, all of the details you see here today with the signs, the flowers, everything is all Lucy's creation, and I think she's done a fantastic job. People said to me before the wedding, are you going to look back at the altar, are you going to turn around? And I thought, yeah, absolutely, I'm going to look back. And turning back today and looking down and seeing Lucy walking down, I was struggling not to cry, and I was thinking, how am I going to get through it? But I did. I just thought she looked knockout beautiful. But to be fair, she looks beautiful every day, even when she's not in a wedding dress. So I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised. And pretty much wrapping up now, speaking of looking beautiful, I think it's my job to raise a toast to the bridesmaids. Lucy, I think you slightly messed up with your bridesmaid selection. Everyone knows that you're meant to pick ugly bridesmaids, so you look better. But to the bridesmaids, Lucy, Laura and Sophie, you've made Lucy very happy being her bridesmaids today, so I would like to raise a toast to the bridesmaids. So I think that's about me done. After the speeches, I do hope you have a wonderful night. We've got some fantastic live music entertainment lined up for you, and we've got my dad. So to be fair, he's very good. And I think on behalf of Lucy and myself, I'd just like to thank you all again for coming here today, for being part of our lives. And here's to many more parties, friendships and celebrations. So, cheers.
Cheers.
Well done, Toby. Well done. That was a beautiful, beautiful speech. What comes next is unlikely to be quite as beautiful. It's been quite a traditional wedding so far, but right now we break from tradition and we move to a situation where we have two best men. Alex and Tom, along with Toby, have been best mates of mine for more than 3 decades. Longer indeed than Lucy's been alive. But let's not dwell on that. So, as you can imagine, I've been very much looking forward to the stories they are about to tell you. First up, please welcome to this lectern, Alex Lawson.
Hello. I'm Alex.
That's enough.
Wow. Well, that dragged on a bit, didn't it, Toby? Jesus, the waiting's not long enough. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, bride and groom. Tom and myself are both best men today, as has been said. I'm just the warm-up act to the main performance. The funny best man, Thomas.
No pressure, Tom.
Hey, that's my speech. No pressure, mate. Bit predictable. Yeah, Toby, that was a great speech. Beautiful. A tad too funny for my liking, but good. I've had the privilege of giving this speech on a few occasions. Dave,
Don't mention my previous weddings.
Dave, not for Toby, I hasten to add. And I found it similar to stepping on a nudist beach for the first time. It's difficult at last struck gold, and has somehow managed to convince this beautiful lady to be his wife. We're all delighted for you both, none more so than Percy and Diane. You both make a fantastic team and are perfect partners. So congratulations, and everyone, please again raise a glass for Mr. and Mrs. Toby and Lucy Pocock.
Cheers.
Lucy, like all good wives, will without doubt have a great influence on Toby over the years to come, and I look forward to seeing him improving on his yoga positions. Though without the aid of Photoshop, I don't think we'll see him in the full crane or half wheel anytime soon. I've known Toby for about 35 years, give or take. In fact, well before Lucy was a glint in her mother's eye. He used to stay with us when Pat and I were away on cricket tour. I've got here in India, but Pat now says it wasn't India. We think it was Australia. Toby stayed with my family, and of course we took good care of him. When he was with us, spending afternoons, we spent hours on the railway line at the end of my garden, squashing various coins on the track, and swinging 20 feet up in the air from the top of the railway bank down to the gardens below. Like a scene from Stand By Me, we bonded. You get that? That was... Some people won't get that. We bonded and remained firm friends from those early years, then through 7 years at Reigate Grammar School, when we first met up with big best man Tom. In the first year, we met up with Tom playing bell ball outside the lecture theatre, and usually Tom throwing the tennis ball through the lecture theatre window and being chased around the playground by Mr. Louis. We continued to be best mates through school, along with many of the RGS guys that are here today in attendance. Some 24 years after leaving school, and I think this is a testament to our group's very close friendship. Thank you, I was waiting. Come on. In 2003, we met up with Toby again when Adele and myself were on holiday in Majaca in Spain. Toby had moved over the year before, and after a few beers in a beach bar, we agreed it was a great place to live. With 320 days of sun per year, the economy at the time was booming, so Adele and I decided to look at a few houses. We found one we liked, got the credit card out. 12 years later, we still live there. And a lot of that's down to that first time we went over. So again, thanks to Toby. I worked with Toby for 6 years in Spain, selling property. I think we both had some of the best years of our lives. When the property market was booming, cash was flowing. Toby had a Porsche, a speedboat, various houses, and we were all living the quintessential El Dorado dream. In 2012, Toby decided to leave Spain, probably for the last time, and return to the UK to start a new beginning. We had more than a few chats about this, me questioning why he wants to go back to the UK, and one thing sticks in my mind. He said to me, "Alex, it's time for me to go back to the UK, start afresh, settle down, try and find a girlfriend, and a partner for life." It was those sort of words, it wasn't exactly right. That sounds good.
That doesn't sound like
No, it doesn't. You know Toby. If only he knew then what a wise decision he was making and what the future held. As one of my best man duties, I arranged and took good care of Toby on his stag weekend. We opted for the country gents weekend in the depths of Dorset, renting a 17th century country house, surrounded by pastures green and with the odd country pub. We went clay pigeon shooting, had a few beers and curry on the first night, the Friday night, and on the second night, much to my utter dismay, I was actually forced to hold a vote as to whether we should stay in front of the log fire, have a takeaway, or venture back into town for a beer or two and something to eat. Disgrace. Thankfully, Messrs. Pocock, Jacks, Shembury were outvoted.
We went out.
And going out won the night. No thanks to Paddy, who isn't with us today, but Paddy who abstained due to a total indifference as to whether we vote for option A or option B.
He was a swing voter.
Well, perhaps that's all a sign of our growing maturity. In fact, we even laid on a nature trail for Toby, led by GK through the slightly wet forest, which Toby was utterly delighted with. So I've known Toby for a huge chunk of my life, from early school days to visiting him at Reading University, one of the black tie balls that he and Chris Richmond made a successful business of arranging, and jumping off a crane, very drunk in a black tie, was certainly one of the more memorable moments. Then the years through highs and lows of life in Spain, so I feel I'm very well qualified to speak about Toby. He has always been one of the most ambitious people I've ever met. Both generous and kind, intense, yet, as you've seen today, can be exceptionally funny.
It can be. Bloody hilarious.
A fiercely loyal person, as I know firsthand, on more than a few occasions, if you need him, he'll always be there without question to help and offer advice. He is certainly an exceptionally driven person, and when his mind is set on a goal, he will not take no for an answer. Thankfully for Toby, Lucy said yes. Right, may I at this time like to thank the beautiful bridesmaids today. On behalf of Toby and Lucy, for all their help today and without doubt over the recent weeks. I've now got a few messages to read out that have been, well, you say Telegram, they've actually been Facebook messaged to me today. Message from Paddy. Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Pocock. So gutted that I can't be there to celebrate your special day. Unfortunately, I have a race to try and win. I hope the champagne is flowing here, as well as no doubt it is there. Lots of love and hugs from Paddy, currently in Monaco. And then we have a message from Thailand. Fez sent a message. So, dearest Toby and Lucy, although we are a world apart today on your special day, my heart could not be closer to you. May your marriage be fruitful, full of joy and laughter, but most of all, overflow with the abundance of love. Isn't that fantastic? Have a super day. Loving you long time. From Thailand, Fez. And now, poor old Tommy. I'm done. And now enough about me. My co-BM would like to say a few words. Thomas Thirlwall.
Thank you very much, Alex. I realised just then why Toby invited me and Alex to be his best men. For people that don't know us in wedding photos going forward, he can pretend that Liam Neeson and Russell Crowe attended the wedding. Or if he doesn't want to be that generous to us, Tony Adams and Noel Edmonds came to the But thank you so much, Al, Toby, Lucy, thank you so much for having me as your best man. It's a genuine honour and privilege to be both your best man and to be sharing that honour with Alex, who is a hero and an inspiration to a lot of us here. And today is my warm-up act. The problem is with this task, I found, is that because this is slightly late in the day, there's a lot more stories about Toby that unfortunately have hit the cutting room floor. I'm going to keep it clean and keep it nice as possible. Of course I'm not. I may be drunk, but I'm not pissed out my head yet. No. I started my research by having a chat with Pat and Di, Toby's parents, who we've already heard a lot about today. Pat, for those of you who don't know, I think it's been mentioned once or twice, was a professional cricketer for Surrey in England. There we go, still gets a cheer, Pat, still gets a cheer. And Di, I have to say, is one of the nicest, funniest people that I know.
I did the washing.
With a passion for golf and wildlife documentaries, which is about as private a joke as I could possibly come up with. But as proud parents, they were delighted to help me with my research. An early piece of advice from Pat was, never let the facts get in the way of a good story, Tom. Remember that. So first up, we had a little chat about when Toby was born. And Di vividly recounted the moment that her waters broke at a do in the Sky Lane Hotel. In Pat's words, flooding the dance floor. and ruining the back seat of Anne and Andrew's Austin 18. Where are Anne and Andrew? Yeah. There we go. Is the Austin 18 still going? Pat's recollection was somewhat vague in relation to his son's birth, although he was very clear that he had taken 6 wickets in a victory against Ian Bothan's Somerset that day, when a call came through to the Oval changing room to say that Toby had been born. So this, for me, was the perfect start of best man speech fodder. However, I was doing my due diligence, as you do. A quick Google search revealed that actually Surrey were playing Gloucestershire that day. And were heavily defeated by 8 wickets. With Patrick Ian Pocock taking just the 1 wicket, actually. So, as you say, Pat, never let the facts get in the way of a good story. Furthermore, they described Toby as sensitive, caring, worldly and kind. Perfect words for an obituary, but not exactly best man's speech fodder. So unfortunately the rest of the evening hasn't quite made it into the speech, although it was lovely to hear, and we all agree, it's just not now. Better though, Di described him as an ugly baby. And then we were back in business. May the 18th, 1973 was the day that Tony Peanut, as we like to call him, was born at the world-renowned Shaw's Corner Cottage Hospital, which sounds like a dog rescue, but it was actually a hospital at one point.
It's a sexual health clinic. Apparently.
And so began the extraordinary life that continues today. So, the early life of Toby Pocock. Worth saying one more time, Toby was an ugly baby. But a popular figure in the England and Surrey changing rooms. His big bulging eyes and swarthy complexion, tight curly hair, reminded many people of Viv Richards. But no paternity claims were made, so people accepted that Toby was Pat's son. Toby's early school years were spent at Holmesdale and then Reigate Priory, but in Di's words, she can't really remember much of this period, other than the day, and they both remembered this, that he fell out of the car on the way back from the squash club. Which sounds shocking, I know, but these were different times. The law didn't require you to have a kid's car seat, wear seatbelts, or even close the rear doors of your car while driving. And without these trappings of the nanny state, the 4-year-old Toby simply rolled out the car when Pat took a sharp right turn onto Manor Road. With grazed head and minor bruising, Toby managed to catch up with the family car as it sped away and climbed back in. This, fortunately, was the last time Di and Pat actively tried to rid themselves of the infant Toby. No, don't clap, Pat. You were pretty indictable in that incident. I don't you clap that sort of thing. So, on to the school years. This is where, well, you've heard this 3 times already today. People on this table heard it 4 times. Me and Toby met and a lifelong friendship began. And many of the friends, blah, 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 are still here today. You've heard that. Our moment came when our mothers forgot to pick us up from school. We were sat on our cricket bags, and as 2 10-year-old boys tend to do, you say nothing for the first half an hour until Toby eventually broke the silence by asking my name. What followed was the most ridiculous and nonsensical conversation that I've ever had, but it set the tone of our friendship ever since. It was at RGS that Toby's sporting prowess really shone, in particular in 3 sports. Bell ball, bin ball and psycho ball.
Murder
Murder ball, not psycho ball.
It was murder ball. It's been renamed as psycho ball. Just sounds better. Bell ball usually involved 2 to 3 competitors, where a tennis ball is thrown in turns with the aim of hitting the bell at break time. The end of the game is denoted with the sounding of the break time bell, and the winner is the competitor who has hit the bell most times.
Correct.
Fair enough. Bin ball, usually played between 3 and 5 competitors, where a tennis ball is thrown with the aim of getting it in the bin. The loser is forced to retrieve the ball from said bin, and the winner is the competitor with the most bin entries, known as binning it. Murder ball or psycho ball, usually played between 7 and 15 competitors, where a golf ball is thrown at high speed between 2 adjacent buildings. Competitors then try and avoid the ball from hitting them. When they are struck, they are eliminated or possibly hospitalised. Winners are those who remain alive or are not summoned to the headmaster's office for breaking a window. That was me twice. I can now say in front of this whole room, thank you Giles Sharman for taking the hit on the second one. In the same lunch break, I broke 2 windows, and I couldn't possibly go back up to the headmaster's office, and Giles went up. I think I paid you £5. I can't hear you, mate. 15? Well, it was 5 then, I still owe you 10. Toby's skill and achievement in these sports far outweighed those in cricket and hockey, the golf team, winning the county under-14 tennis tournament with me. And still to this day, I believe that if bin ball made it into the Olympics, then Toby would be in amongst the medals. The rest of our school days were typical of the 1980s. Minor bullying, harmless molestation by teachers, stink bombs, and underachievement in all academic subjects. Happy, happy days. And so to our gap year. I like to think that we pioneered the gap year, a time to collect worldly experiences, henna tattoos, learn the bongos, and if possible, have sex in another country. None of these were achieved. But I'll come back to that. First of all, we had to raise the money to buy our round-the-world ticket. For some, that would involve taking jobs and working for the man, but not Toby and I. Our plan was to become horticultural entrepreneurs, and so T&T Garden Services were born. T, Toby, and T, Tom.
Brilliant.
Took 2 brainstorms to get to that. Armed with our parents' garden tools and a working knowledge of what a garden is, we set out to help shape, sculpture and weed the lawns, beds and hedgerows of lonely housewives in Reigate. On more than one occasion we discussed becoming... No, we didn't actually go there. That bit was off limits, wasn't it? Yeah. First up was Mrs. McPherson, an 84-year-old who needed a regular gardening service. Nothing looked too tricky for Toby and I, and although we may have overstepped the mark when, on telling us that she had renal problems, Toby quickly responded, "We'll have that sorted out in no time." I also took a call in the first month from a wealthy-sounding customer who wanted an underlawn irrigation system installed. Feeling this was stretching our capabilities, I cut the phone and asked Toby if we should take it on for the £2,000 we were being offered. To which Toby answered with an emphatic yes. How hard can it be? With the deal closed, we then started to panic about not how, but what an underlawn irrigation system was. Thankfully, the phone rang again and Martin Jacks revealed himself as the mystery punter. Thank you, Martin. We nearly folded the business after that call. Alongside the gardening business, Toby also diversified our interests into house portraits, sold once again to lonely housewives in Reigate.
Ambitious as ever, Toby decided that we would take on the ultimate portraiture assignment, Buckingham Palace. So Alex, Toby and myself set about creating ink-line drawings of the Queen's house using a technique that Toby had pioneered known as tracing a photograph. It's surprisingly effective, actually. I was shit at it because I kept colouring in the windows. The plan was to sell several hundred a day to the tourists in St James's Park, making us in the region we thought of £500 a day or thereabout. The response was underwhelming, to say the least. We were threatened with arrest when, in an act of desperation, we set up shop right in front of the palace, lining up all of the portraits on the gates of Buckingham Palace. So the long arm of the law felt our collar. However, we went on to make one sale to an Italian art student, and who we took a lot of pride in the fact that she recognised Toby's tracing talent. We sold that for £10. What then followed was like a bad episode of The Apprentice, as we went from one souvenir shop to another souvenir shop trying to flog our remaining stock. Eventually, a shop selling snow globes and Princess Diana tea towels took our entire stock for 20 quid, which nearly paid for our train tickets home. But with all this fundraising done, it was time for the once-in-a-lifetime trip around the world. Hawaii, New Zealand, Australia, Singapore, Malaysia and Thailand awaited. But there was no life-changing experiences, no henna tattoos, no bongos, no henna tattoos either, and certainly no international sex. Just 4 middle-class grammar school boys on an extended holiday, eating pizza, bungee jumping and talking about having sex. It was like a well-behaved episode of The In-Betweeners. Toby's role on that trip was to argue with Andrew and write a journal, both of which he did with obsessive aplomb. We came back from the world tour after 3 months, and I'm not convinced that anyone even noticed that we'd gone. Toby then went to Reading University. I didn't, so that makes this chapter a little bit hard for me to recount. But what I do know, according to Pat, is that Toby became the biggest bus hirer in Reading due to all the social events that he was organising. He formed the Cocktail Society and was a founder member of the Naked Student Protest Movement. I do know that at Reading, Toby reignited his entrepreneurial streak. Building on the TNT Garden Services and the illegal portrait business, he added a magazine empire and an events business. After university, he then embarked on what can only be described as a trailblazing, Branson-esque journey of launching businesses. I'm going to just take you on a quick skip through some of the businesses that were launched. Fish Tank, that was a promotions business with Dom and myself. The Shrewd Food Company, which was a forerunner to Just Eat, if you know Just Eat, but it was without the online or the delivery elements. Otherwise known as a leaflet. It was a great concept, yeah, it was. There was then the Belize Dive Resort. He then became a golf course photographer, set up View Spain, a property business where you can buy a holiday home in Almeria. Fraction International, a property business where you can buy a small part of a holiday home anywhere in the world as long as it was in St Andrews. I don't even know this one. Yeah, Guapa.
Spanish for beautiful.
Guapa Studios, Spanish for beautiful, which was a Spanish-Chinese art enterprise. And Mahaka Beach Club, which for 5.5 weeks was the Soho House of Mahaka, I believe.
Correct.
So back to London and the start of the millennium. Me and Toby lived together for the first time. We lived just off the King's Road and spent afternoons hitting golf balls off our roof at Chelsea fans and mornings arguing over who had made a mess on the kitchen floor. From there we moved to Wandsworth, renting the most ridiculous apartment from the 80s band The Thompson Twins. It was a huge Gothic tower building on the Trinity Road. These were fun times, the hedonistic times. It was like the party would never end until it did, when all the residents campaigned to have us booted out. With this, Toby then moved to Spain. And it was in Spain that Toby's fortunes took a turn for the very good and then the not so good. And we won't go over all of that because it's been mentioned already. Spain, when it was good, saw Toby owning a portfolio worth millions of euros, a car, a boat, a motorbike, a quad bike, a surfboard and a dog called Dave.
And Elvis.
The flailing, and Elvis.
Dave and Elvis.
And Elvis, sorry, Dave and Elvis.
Daves and one Elvis.
Dave and Elvis.
And the flailing Spanish economy saw the property empire crumble, which also seemed to trigger the downfall of his beloved car and boat portfolio. The car, as I understand, on the festival of San Juan, where for all the way down the beaches in Oaxaca and in the surrounding area they light bonfires. And the tradition has it that at midnight you jump over the bonfire and run naked into the sea. Toby did that, jumped over the bonfire into the sea. As he emerged from the sea, he noticed that one of the bonfires was right in the middle of the car park. Thinking this is a bit odd. What idiot would light a bonfire in the middle of the car park? On closer inspection, it turned out that Toby's car had burst into flames because a neighbouring moped had caught fire, fallen over.
Kids.
Anyway, the car went, and a few weeks later, the boat went as well when it ran out of petrol.
Yeah, crashed on the beach.
And crashed on the beach. So after collapsing the Spanish economy, Toby decided to come back to the UK and eventually Reigate. And this was the homecoming and the return of Toby, the eternal entrepreneur. He then became a drone pirate. The other things He then became a drone pirate.
He's probably right.
And there was no more amusing times than when Toby told me, when we booked him for a job in the Alps, that the drones didn't work at altitude, which seemed like an odd quirk of an aerial-based technology. That the higher they go, the less effective they go. Toby then confided in me that for less than 20% of the time that a drone's in the air, he is actually in full control of it. He then told me the story of the Country House Hotel, where him and the client were stood flying and Toby was flying the drone up and down the estate, and the client said, "Can you just do it one more time?" And instead of the drone turning around, the drone kept going. 3.5 hours later, the drone came back. Toby at this point was packing up the car, they'd had a cup of tea, they'd abandoned the shoot. And again, it was the terrifying realisation that this bladed aeroplane the size of a small car could, in 80% of occasions, not actually be in full control. But I think we've overcome that now. They've improved
Ben's
it.
doing the filming now.
But anyway, Toby can be a better friend to me, and I couldn't ask for a more funnier and caring friend. He's an eternal optimist, philosopher, comic, dancer, and motivator. He's an artist, and of course, a gardener. He is one of the most loyal and brilliant human beings I've met. He's been there for Alex and I during our darkest times, with an unrelenting sense of friendship, and of course, inappropriate humour. Tony, you've led an extraordinary life, filled with extraordinary events, experiences and stories. But today, life just got a little bit richer as your journey goes on with your beautiful and extraordinary Lucy. And Lucy, you have one of the most caring, daring, committed and extraordinary people I've ever met. He'll do everything he said in his vows today and a whole lot more. So let's raise a glass to the extraordinary Mr. and Mrs. Pocock for their life together, future family and happiness.
Mrs. Peanut, well done. Well done, Tommy.
I have cock in my name. I don't really want to speak for long. I didn't know if I was going to get up and say anything, but I wanted to take the opportunity because there'll only be one, hopefully. Sorry, Stephen. I really don't want to take up too much of your time. Firstly, I really wanted to say a few thank yous and really echo what my husband has just said. Had to get that in there. My parents and my family are just wonderful. They're my best friends, as cheesy as it sounds. They really are my best friends, and you have been so supportive my whole life. You've made me feel loved every single day, and today I'm enjoying every single moment. I'm taking everyone's advice. I'm really taking things in. I'm not drinking too much, and I'm having already just the most wonderful day. So, my parents, as Toby said, thank you for your support and your help with today, making it possible, and for making Toby feel so welcome in our family.
Well done.
Thank you. To Toby's parents, my in-laws. Again, as people have said, they really are the most wonderful people, and if you talk to them, you just feel so welcome. Speaking to them, I have felt welcomed by you since the first day we met, and I am so grateful to now be part of your family. So, all that's really left to say, I really hope everyone has a really great day today. I'm really looking forward to the evening reception now. We've got some more guests arriving. Sorry, we've been a bit longer than we thought. Toby's friends, I haven't met everyone actually before today. Some of you I've only met today. But every single person I've met has made me feel so welcome as Toby's girlfriend, fiancée, and now wife. And I look forward to spending much more time with you all, and you're all great fun. And you're all drinking more than my younger friends. Shame on you. So before you all have hopefully a really fantastic evening. Sorry. Oh, can I just make a massive announcement and a big thanks to our bunting boys. Guppy came from Singapore just to do our bunting today. And Alex assisted in the bunting. Sorry. Thank you for being here. Have a fantastic night. Thank you for your support and your love to me and Toby. Toby, I love you so much, and thank you for asking me to marry you.